This is my video for my social media campaign reflection. So my topic for this campaign was injustices within the LGBTQ plus community, specifically that focus on injustices faced by youth. So there's a lot of reasons why this is such an important topic. The first reason is that there are many injustices faced by this community. So there's a really large variety of different injustices and topics that you can kind of address within this population, and they're all very impactful to these individuals' lives. Secondly, when you're thinking about children specifically, within this population, this is a huge issue relating to advocacy. A lot of the children don't necessarily know how to bring this topic up to their parents and have a conversation about gender or sexuality, and so they may be experiencing issues that they aren't uncomfortable talking about and that the parents might not even know about, which is why it's so important to raise awareness about the issues that this community faces, specifically with children. And lastly, this topic has personal significance to me, as many of my friends are part of the LGBTQ plus community because they either have a sexuality other than straight or have some kind of gender identity other than cisgendered. So when I was planning my social media campaign, it was really important to take into consideration the audience that would be seeing my posts. So the first thing that I considered was demographic information. And so by that I mean kind of more of location and gender and just what types of people would be seeing my posts. So the platform that I had decided to use for my social media campaign was Instagram, and on my Instagram account, a lot of my followers are friends from high school, so they live in Connecticut, and then I also have a lot of followers that are family members, which they kind of live in a variety of locations. And then I also have some followers from Wisconsin, from specifically Concordia University, such as my peers in the OT program. So those are all things that I considered because obviously every different location kind of around the country and obviously around the world as well has kind of a different view on the LGBTQ plus community and like the issues that they're facing. So this is an important thing to consider when talking about this population. A second factor that I took into consideration is political beliefs. Obviously, there are a lot of laws and legislation surrounding this topic. We had like gay marriage being legalized, but there are still a lot of other kind of more legal, more political aspects of this topic. So taking into consideration people's political beliefs, and this kind of relates back to the demographics. In general, Connecticut tends to be a lot more liberal than Wisconsin, which tends to be more conservative. So that's obviously a generalization, so that's not going to be true for everyone, but that is something to consider. And then we also have religious beliefs. So a lot of people who are Christian may think that homosexuality is sinful, or other similar kind of beliefs. So since I mentioned that a lot of my followers are from Concordia University, which is a religious institution, that is definitely a factor that I considered as well. So to take all of these like beliefs and values into consideration, I thought it was really important to start with like a very basic understanding and provide a lot of background information. A lot of people who maybe didn't used to believe that it was okay or still don't believe that it's okay to be gay or to have and be transgender or something, they may just not know a lot about it. And so I thought that by providing a lot of good background information and starting at a really basic level could help to kind of influence them and make them kind of realize more about how everything works with the gender and the sexuality, and to see that maybe it's not wrong and there's nothing wrong with it, and maybe not necessarily be able to change their beliefs just through this one social media campaign, but at least to kind of make them think a little bit more about it. Other factors that aren't as relating to values but more relating to kind of the understanding of the post include learning needs, prior knowledge, and differences within the audience. So it's important to understand that every single person that's viewing my post is going to have a different base level of knowledge of topics within this community. So some people are going to know a lot about this topic and other people aren't going to know very much at all. So again, just starting with that really basic information is a very important factor. However, I do understand that a lot of my followers are very familiar with these concepts, and I wanted them to be able to still benefit from this campaign. So I tried to provide information that was really, really basic, as well as information that may be new to more of those people. So I really had a wide range of information that I covered. There were a lot of things that I did to promote audience engagement. So I, on my Instagram story, posted polls, quizzes, sliders, questions, and resources. And I made sure to comment at the bottom of all of my captions of my post that people were welcome to engage with the project through the comment section or through DMs as well. So some examples of the engagement that I had. That first picture is of a poll. The second picture is of a quiz, which was not like a graded kind of quiz, but just to ask a question. And then we have an example of a slider. Here we have an example of a question, and that's something that I did at the end of every single day, was I posted asking if people had any questions and gave them an opportunity to ask those. I only had a couple people ask questions, but I still think that was a really great way to promote engagement, even if people didn't actually engage with it. I also posted resources that people could look into on their own if they wanted more information or if they felt that they or someone that they knew needed those resources. And lastly, I did include that people were welcome to comment, and I did have one of my old friends that I haven't talked to probably since middle school comment and say, "Love this campaign, thank you for spreading awareness and information on this in such a positive and informative way." So it was great to see that people were engaging with my posts and did appreciate what I was doing. So 2 things that I think that went well with this social media campaign was audience education and visually appealing posts. So for audience education, as I mentioned earlier, I tried to provide a wide range of knowledge. So these first 2 pictures up here with the blue and the yellow, or blue and the orange, sorry, polls, we have, were there any terms defined in my second post, this was on my first day of the campaign, but I had posted 2 posts that day, that you were unfamiliar with before today. We had 40% of people say yes, which is not a very large percentage, just because the first day of my campaign included really, really basic information. However, regardless of prior knowledge of terms, do you now feel as though you have a clear understanding of those terms? 93% of people felt that after viewing my post that they understood everything in it. Only 7% of people felt that they were still confused about anything. So that does show an improvement. The sliders in blue show how comfortable people were using neopronouns before seeing my post and after seeing my post. So the thumbs up for the first one shows the before, and then the dot shows the after, because I accidentally misclicked and interacted with my own slider, so that probably skewed the results even more, so it was probably an even bigger increase. And then the white sliders shows how comfortable were you using they, them pronouns for someone before and after, and so there is an increase there as well. And then on the final day of my campaign, I asked the question, did you learn something new from any of my posts this week? And 88% of people said yes. So this shows that I did do a good job with audience education and people were able to learn something and take something away from my campaign. The second thing that I think I did well was having really visually appealing posts. So these are just some of the posts that I created for this campaign and posted to my Instagram, and I think that I did a good job of kind of making them really attention grabbing and using colors and graphics while still keeping them very professional looking and not taking away from the seriousness of the topic. So for example, on this slide, there's a post about suicide rates within the LGBTQ plus community, and I think I did a really nice job of kind of, making it look kind of visually appealing without taking away from the message at all and making it seem fun or something like that. So that is the second thing that I think I did a good job at through this campaign. Areas for improvement, I think I could have picked a more specific topic, and I think I could have provided better access to the resources that I gave. So for more specific topic, I covered a lot of topics throughout this campaign. So I gave education about LGBTQ terminology, education about pronouns and pronoun usage, injustices that transgender individuals face, bullying within schools, intersectionality, and mental health. So that's a very wide range of topics, so I wasn't able to go super in depth on any of those topics. It was kind of more of just an overview of a bunch of different issues that are faced. So I think picking just like a couple of those issues and really honing in on those could have made this more impactful. And better access to resources. When I originally created this campaign, I was planning on putting links to all of these resources in my Instagram bio. However, I realized that I could only put one link in my bio at a time, and I didn't know how to make them all accessible through just one single link. So I was unfortunately not able to do that. So I think if I were to do this campaign again, I might pick a different platform that allows me to post more links, or I might figure out how to make some kind of master document or something with the links and then link that into my bio. Just figure out some way to make them more accessible. But I do think that these are all really, really great resources and that people can access them if they look into them. I think for expectations versus experience, I honestly didn't really know what to expect going into this social media campaign. I think the biggest thing that I was surprised about was how many people were willing to interact with my posts. So I didn't, like I mentioned, I didn't get a ton of questions or DMs. I did get a couple DMs, but not a ton. And then I only did get the one comment, but I honestly didn't expect to get any comments on the post themselves. And the engagement with the polls and questions in my stories was a lot higher than I expected. I don't remember exactly how many people interacted with them, but I know on some days it was maybe 50 people that answered a poll, which is a lot higher than I expected on a topic like this where some people are very uncomfortable talking about it. And I think other than that, I was more just surprised that no one really commented on that it was weird that I was posting these kinds of things. Because this is obviously very different than what I normally post. It's usually just pictures of me just doing whatever. So I think that's one thing that really stood out to me was people didn't think that it was weird that I was posting any of this or make any comments that it was weird or that they thought it was weird. People were just kind of happy to receive the information. So that was actually a really, really pleasant surprise. And hopefully they were able to learn a lot.